Okay, you have to move on, there's another game, but how did you have to unpack that with the players and what response did you get?
Yeah, well, look, really clearly, we had a really disappointing performance in round one, and we need to rectify that, and we have to move on to be able to rectify that. We owned the performance. We're really disappointed now in our performance, but let's be really clear. We played a really bad game of football, and the only way we can fix that is to get back to work.
How do you react from it? Because you've got the power to do things at selection and so forth.
Yeah, well, there's a few things you have to consider. You have to consider all the things that go into performance, and for us, that performance was well below par. But the thing I have to consider is the players' consistency over a long period of time has been pretty good, and I'm not gonna throw them all away and say it was all your fault. That wasn't the case. We didn't play well. We let ourselves down, and we let everyone down involved with Port Adelaide. But the reality is, it's round one. I'm gonna trust the boys a fair bit.
Did you or the players identify why you were that bold?
No, we knew exactly. I mean, we knew we got beaten. As I said after the game on Saturday night, we got beaten in all phases of the game. It wasn't just one phase of the game. I think, we turned up ready to perform, we thought, but we clearly weren't at the level we needed to be in during the game. Whether it be contest, whether it be our ability to move the ball, which had been pretty good only a couple of weeks earlier. So, there's some times where you go, well, that was a performance that we didn't certainly need and we didn't see coming, but we anticipate that we'll be much better than that when we go to play again.
Has a mindset or physically, when you talk about?
No, I think it's not one or the other. I think it's a bit of everything. When you perform that badly, look, if you can reflect over time, you look at bad performances, the really bad performance, and that was a really bad performance, and you normally go clutching for everything, but it's not. It's just an unusual performance for a team who's been pretty consistent. That's what I would say.
Were you too nice to Dan Houston?
Sorry?
Were you too nice to Dan Houston?
We didn't. We weren't too nice to anything to do with Collingwood, other than we went there to perform against Collingwood, the football club, and of which Dan was a part of. We weren't certainly too nice, but he played very well.
But you as a football club know his strengths and weaknesses better than any. So for him to come out,
I think that's.
Coaches
I think that in itself is that you should acknowledge that the player we're talking about is a bloody good player. He's an All-Australian twice in a row. We weren't confused with what quality of the player was. We did our best, as we did against other Collingwood players who have been high-quality players for a long period of time. Dan's a great player. As I said to him when he left, I hope he plays poorly against Port Adelaide, but I wish him the best for the rest of his career. I don't have anything more to add to that. We didn't have to focus on Dan Houston any more than any other player.
It's the third time in about a dozen games you've lost by 13 goals or more. Is that a concerning trend?
I don't know. The question you're asking is that 3 times in 13 games, is it a trend? How much further do you want to go back to create that trend is what I would ask you. We've won, over the last 5 years, we've won the equal most number of games nearly in the AFL. So is that a trend?
So further question, would you say that those sort of things are possible with a young developing group sometimes?
Yeah, I'm not sure we're in the developing group, young stage. We're different. We've certainly changed some things in our team, and we're really optimistic around what this team can still achieve. You won't get me thinking that we're falling off the perch.
Well, what's the player feedback, Ken? Particularly the leadership group, what did they tell you was happening out there?
They're exactly the same. They know that they got beat in all phases of the game and that they don't get a choice to rectify that until next week, and that's what they have to accept and have to live with. We all have to live with that bad performance. We're not going to sit here and pretend to put anything that's not real on the table.
Do you unpack what was to have happened in attack and then didn't happen? How are you working through that and what might need to change, or do you persist with what you think will work?
No, we'll certainly persist because we won't panic. That's key. I mean, sides, unfortunately, there was other sides that had probably not the performances they won over the round or the first round, and for us, we were one of them teams. We just have to stick to the course that we're on, and we know what that course normally delivers for us. So I can really appreciate everyone's questions around that performance on Saturday night. Unacceptable. I probably said that enough, I reckon.
Obviously the performance kind of amplifies it a lot, but have you been surprised about the fallout and the narrative around the loss that is already happening after round one?
Sorry, I'm not quite.
Well, in terms of, I guess, the fallout and narrative, quickly it was about how bad the loss was, but then, it goes to you, Josh, all that, the succession plan, everything like that. Are you surprised that it's already kind of
Is that
started around one?
is that what you're asking me?
Yeah.
That you're asking?
No, I guess that was the kind of what people were saying, that's what people were commentating on,
don't.
Yeah, you're surprised it's come after round one
If,
already.
if they are asking that question, they can ask it to me directly. What question do you want to ask me?
I guess, is it, how do you feel it's is there any confusion amongst players, coaches? Yeah, that's, I guess, the question.
I think we've been really clear on that. There's absolutely no confusion. I've said right from the start, I've got plenty of energy for the job. Josh and myself, we both know exactly what's going on. The whole football club knows exactly what's going on. People have got some opinions based on one loss.
Does your faith waver at all when you
Not
lose
one
the
bit.
biggest in your career, like your biggest loss of your career? Is it hard not to just, for a brief second, go, is this right?
No, I don't enjoy big losses, regardless of whether it was, 91 or something, and 86 was the next biggest or something like that, so somewhere near it. 5 points.
Right.
It's a bad loss.
So
It's a bad loss.
So
I don't know that, yes, it hits the top of the benchmark for my career, but really it's not, when you're losing by 90 points or 86 points, they're bad.
Sim was speaking about opinions. Last night, Kane and Nick Rewalt were talking about when you're sort of told that you're not the man for the long term, but stick around for a bit. They claimed that it was human nature that you'd check out a little bit, or that you might lose a bit of fire. How would you respond to those direct opinions?
Can I ask you what question you're asking me? Because I said before,
Well, I'm asking you.
the two boys that you're talking, two people you're talking about,
Yeah.
they're not asking me that question. If they want to, I'm really happy for them to ask that question directly to
Well, I
me.
can ask if you want.
Yep.
The fire is still as strong as it ever has been for you.
And you're asking that question, Josh?
I'm asking Josh.
I think you know the answer to that. Of course it is. I'm as excited as I've been all year. I've said that all the way through. I'm disappointed in a really bad loss, but I'm not going to waver. I'm not going to jump to a position that I wasn't in last Thursday. I'm excited by what this team can do. I'm excited by the growth of our team, and I'm excited by the direction this footy club's going in. And Saturday night makes it hard for everyone to accept that was the right direction right now. But before that, it's been pretty good.
And
Yeah,
you
it's a
have, the club
significant
has
moment.
very passionate fans. We've seen them, I guess, get arced up with these kind of results in the past, and we saw similar over the weekend. I guess what would you say to those fans who are already calling for that transition to happen already, to give them some confidence that
Their responsibility is to go and support their team, and I hope they continue to support their team all the way through. Our responsibility internally is to make sure we manage the club to succeed for the future, and that's what we'll always do. We'll always look after the club the right way.
When there's so much negativity floating around, and obviously you have the conversations, the hard truths, but how much is it about positively reinforcing the players, reminding it's one of 23 rounds, and also do you go back and show some clips where they have nailed it last year to try and remind them how they've done it well in the past?
We have to remember it is round one of 23, as you said, and the reality is we'll have to mark ourselves at the end of the season, not at the start of the season. We have to work really hard to turn that result around, and we understand what our best football looks like. The players know that. The obligation is to perform like that, and we get our chance on Saturday.
You mentioned that you're adapting.
Are you missing Zach in the team?
It's not a silly question, but it's a silly question. He's a bloody good player. Everyone would miss Zach, That's just what happens, but we haven't got Zach, so we can't rely on Zach this week. Next week, we just got to do what we've got to do with the people we've got. We'll back those boys in to get the job done.
But do you feel he's an essential cog in that midfield? Like it wasn't really firing without him,
Of course I do. Of course I think he's a really important player, but injuries happen to every team. We've just got to deal with what we've got. That's why we have a squad. Zach's a part of the squad. He's not the only part.
You mentioned
It's a significant
post-game, Ken,
moment.
that you're still adapting to a new style of play. Can you reach, I guess, that goal of how you want to play this week?
We're hoping. I mean, we know that, and I've said this, we're playing slightly different because our personnel is slightly different. We have to make those slight adjustments. Every team in the competition have to play with the list you have available, and for us, our list is different than what it's been in the past, and we look forward to the opportunity for that team and that list to be very, very good at AFL footy.
When the narrative is as strong as it is, Ken,
Sorry, go
when the
again.
narrative is as strong as it is, and we know you consume a lot of footy media, does Josh come up to you and say, we're all good here and let's kick on and push together? Do you two talk about the what is seemingly deafening noise?
No, we do our jobs, and we do them every day the same way. That's what we do. And can I just be really clear on that? We know our roles, we know our jobs, and we do them to the very best of our abilities every day, every chance we get to help and support our football club.
Ken, it's a significant moment of the weekend for Travis Boak and the club.
It is.
Can you give us your testimony of what Boak's meant in your time here?
Yeah, I've been a part of a lot of his games and a lot of his opportunities, and it's not very often that you become the outright record holder of a football club as well known and as well loved as Port Adelaide Football Club. Trav's, it's just a great person. I'm just so proud of that he's going to take over from an absolute great player and person of our football club in Russell in the past. So significant. It's a pity that someone has to be the leader almost in these things, because you'd love, there's so many people you'd just think they could just do it together, but Trav's going to go on and play some more games.
He had a pretty reasonable game as well. He's not slowing down.
No, he's not, is he? It was really pleasing. I mean, that's one of the highlights in a very poor performance, was the fact that Travis has had lots of interruptions through this pre-season. He's been able to come out and, to his great credit, perform at a pretty high level in a game when the team was really struggling. So he showed great leadership, I think, still in that moment.
Is he doing anything different this year?
Probably.
All the stuff he's done before, like what,
Probably. He's probably eating his Weet Bix different or something. I don't know. But he'll be doing something different, because that's what he does. He chases getting better all the time, and he's got our support to do what he needs to do to get the best performance out of himself, and I hope it continues.
After a really positive game against St Kilda in pre-season, it was a pretty tough game for Jeremy down back. Do you kind of stick with him this week, or does he go forward, to maybe help out there?
Again,
how do you kind of handle approaching him?
Again, they're all the decisions that we've got to make. It's, on Wednesday we'll make some more of those decisions. But again, my overriding feeling is that I have to be supportive in this role, and I have to be supportive in this moment for us as a footy club and our players to get some belief. I've got to believe myself.
Chad mentioned yesterday that he's trying to block out all the media noise he can. He doesn't listen to any opinions whatsoever. He's really encouraging the players to do that as well. Is that something that you want to do as coaches, to try and tell them don't listen to anything?
Of course I do. I don't want to listen to it, but I live in Adelaide. So it's pretty hard. It's pretty hard, but we do our best. I mean, look, I've said this plenty. I respect everyone's got a job to do, and I've got a job to do too. But we always do our best to stay together internally, because the outside stuff, it can overinflate you, and it can certainly punch you big time if you let it become too big in your world.
What about the backflipping Richmond? What do you think their strengths are? What were you impressed by in that?
Oh, look, I went and watched them live, I went over early to watch them live, and I was really, really impressed with the way they went about their energy and their high level of energy. And again, the narrative around Richmond was unfair. We understand this is AFL football, and if you don't bring your best, you'll get beaten badly, or you can have some unbelievable wins. They're going to be a real challenge for us on Saturday, and we look forward to that.
Could Asava do enough in the sample to get a spot?
Again, we'll go through selection a little bit later on in the week, and we'll come to terms with what that looks like.
Going back to Richmond, Ken, I guess.
Last one.
Yeah. Is this almost the worst time to play a team like that, because it's early in the season? All the young, not like how old the young guys, they're up and about. They're all excited about playing AFL. Rather than maybe when it becomes a little bit more of a slog later on in the year. Is this a danger time to play a young team like that?
Oh, look, yeah. My answer is every game in AFL football is tough and it's hard. And every week, wherever you play, and whatever part of the season you play in, I never go into any game thinking I'm going to win. I go into every game hoping I'm going to win and planning as well as we possibly can, and then backing my team in to do their jobs well enough, consistently enough, that we do win more often than not, which is what we've done over a good period of time.